Today we're going to look at a critical reasoning conclusion question. People have different ways of categorizing these questions. Some people might look at this and call it an inference. I call it a conclusion question, sort of same method, whatever you call it. I obviously have to redact certain portions for copyright, so probably should have redacted a little more here, but whatever. So go ahead and click on the GMATClub link in the description box to see the full question, and when you're ready, come back here. All right, so the first thing we're going to do with any CR is go straight to the question stem. So don't read the paragraph first, go to the question stem, figure out what the heck it is. If the statements above are all true, they most strongly support which of the following conclusions. Because of the language most strongly support, students new to GMAT Critical Reasoning are going to think that this is a strengthen question because support is often a key word in strengthen question stems, but that is incorrect. It says the statements most strongly support which of the following conclusions. So it's like we're going to be given 5 possible conclusions and we're going to have to pick which one, essentially which answer choice should be cut and pasted at the end of this paragraph. Like which answer choice should logically come next and be the overarching opinion. So to do that, I am covering up the answer choices. It's imperative with critical reasoning more than any other question type that you really pre-form your own idea of what the correct answer should look like before you look at those answer choices. So to do that, we're going to break down the argument and really try to understand it as deeply and intuitively as we can. Many athletes inhale pure oxygen after exercise in an attempt to increase muscular reabsorption of oxygen. Great, so we stop there, and then we'll make a little note of it. For me, I might draw a little stick figure of an athlete, right? And I might put like O2 for oxygen. So they're putting pure oxygen. If you want to write the word pure, we could do that. Oops, sorry, it's a little off the screen. So they are ingesting pure oxygen, right? And they're hoping that that'll be good for their muscles. It's a little bicep or tricep. I guess it's a tricep. Great, so that's the goal, right? All right, however, the blood lactate levels of athletes who inhale pure oxygen are identical to those of athletes who breathe air. Okay, so when they do this measurement, I'm going to call it BL, right? The BL of the people who do this, who inhale the pure oxygen after they exercise, seems to be equal to the people who are just, breathing regular oxygen in the air. The lower the blood lactate level is, the higher the muscular reabsorption of oxygen is. Okay, so this blood lactate level, when they're saying when it's low, right, that means that you have a lot of, I'm going to say MR, muscular reabsorption. These two ideas are inferences to each other. Okay, so what could be concluded by this, right? You have 2 people who have exercised. One person is just going outside, breathing regular oxygen. The other person is trying to ingest this pure O2. I don't even know how that works. That through like a face mask or something? It sounds weird. So they are doing that, right? But what they figured out is that these lactate levels are like pretty much the same, right? And then just as a side note, they say that the blood lactate level varies inversely with the muscular reabsorption, right? So, you would want this to be as low as possible, and then that would show that your muscular reabsorption is going up. But they said that these are basically the same. So what could be concluded here? Well, these 2 people probably have similar muscular reabsorption rates, whatever that is, because if their blood lactate is equal, then their muscular reabsorption is probably equal. Right? So that would be my prediction, right? Probably the muscular reabsorption is basically equal. Essentially, this pure O2 does nothing, right? The pure O2 is kind of, I'm going to call it worthless. I mean, maybe it does other nice things, but I don't know. So now that we have a really strong idea of like what logically would follow, that the muscular reabsorption would basically be the same for these 2 people and that this pure O2 seemed kind of worthless. Now we're ready to look at the answer choices. And again, I've said this in other videos, or other video, maybe only one. But if you're someone who really struggles and you're like often getting CR wrong, it's because you're not spending enough time with your practice questions on doing this work. And if you find yourself constantly going to the answer choices very quickly, I recommend you set a timer for 90 seconds and just force yourself to do this and just stare at the paragraph and stare at the question stem and sort of doodle about it for a full 90 seconds before you look at answer choice A. It'll build a really good habit for yourself. It's not the answer choices that make you better at CR. It's paying more attention to the logic of the argument. If there's only one thing I could teach you for CR, it would probably be that. All right, so now let's take a look at some answer choices. So A says athletes' muscular reabsorption of oxygen is not increased when they inhale pure oxygen instead of normal air. Yep, I mean, that's pretty much what we said. It's worthless. High blood lactate levels cannot be reduced. Okay, well, we don't know that. Maybe it could be reduced by other means. Blood lactate levels are a poor measure of oxygen reabsorption. Well, that seems to contradict this idea that blood lactate levels vary inversely with muscular reabsorption. There seems to be a strong correlation. It's an inverse correlation, but there's certainly a correlation. So just because it varies inversely doesn't mean it's a poor measure. That could be an excellent measure depending on, exactly how that relationship is. D, the amount of oxygen reabsorbed by an athlete's muscles always remains constant. Well, first of all, I don't like that word always. That's very extreme. And we have no idea if the amount of oxygen, this could be true, right? Maybe, but there's nothing in the paragraph that would imply that this should be the next sentence. It's not based on these statements above. It's just sort of outside information. Is this true or not? I have no idea. Somebody who's an athlete is going to have to tell me in the comments. And then E, the inhaling of pure oxygen has no legitimate role in athletics. Again, I don't like this word no. It's very extreme. And this is just sort of a little bit of an out there opinion. The inhaling has no legitimate role. Well, what does legitimate mean? Right? Like, where are we getting legitimacy from? Again, it's not logical that this would be the next sentence. This, I think, might be an attractive answer choice because it has a strong opinion, and because it has a negative opinion on pure oxygen, and we said that pure oxygen was worthless. But to go from saying that it was worthless in the comparison between these two people, and that therefore that means it has no legitimate role in like all of athletics, that's a huge extrapolation. So overly generalizing conclusions are typically not going to be correct for a conclusion question. Therefore, our correct answer here is A. If you have any questions about this problem in particular, feel free to ask me in the comments below.